And welcome back. This is
Hello.
Kareem.
And this is Travis.
And this is One Hit High Points. And pretty much we're here to return from another long hiatus of not recording or not
It hasn't
posting.
been that long, has it?
I don't know. How long has it been, actually?
See if I can do a little quick little. Oh no,
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely not right. May
No.
17th, probably about a month. It's probably about a solid month.
So pretty much,
unfortunately, but
yeah.
we've been busy though.
We've been busy. We've been doing a lot of things. As you can see here, we're no longer in the studio attic situation going on there.
Collectively, I think this is still the studio.
Yeah, but I'm looking over to my, I don't know if they're seeing it from whatever view, but to my right, there's, oh, hey, Mars. We transitioned from that room, and we've pretty much been able to kind of have more of a open setup, a little bit more sitting upright, taking the podcast to just a little bit more of an elevated level in terms of seriousness, I guess, just having more structure and trying to have a better setup that promotes productivity.
But I also think the comfortability piece, like you mentioned, like we're sitting upright in chairs instead of slouching on the couch, I think makes things in a little better. Definitely probably we'll have to work on some audio pieces here as I'm sitting here listening. It sounds a little echoey, so we'll see if it actually plays back that way. So I'm hoping not, for you guys' sake.
Yeah, we have technical difficulties here and there, but that's the beauty in it. You guys get to see the growth. Right? Yeah, you get to see the growth and like see the improvement, and I get to watch that back, which is pretty cool.
Growth is an interesting thing. It's kind of like you look at yourself and it's like,
is that the topic of the day you're just going for? I was just,
well, yeah, kind of, because it's like,
you didn't even smoke yet. You didn't. Well, you smoked hours ago, didn't you?
Yeah, but no one needs to know that. Don't give up my secrets.
Okay, sorry. Well, okay, so grow. You can continue talking about growth. I'm sorry.
Well, I think growth is just kind of on my mind a little bit, just because we as humans grow as we learn from things, and then also just being outside lately, and just looking at like your yard or your house or even the plants around you. Like there's growth everywhere, and like it just also just think of like all the trials and tribulations that everything around you, even from a plant getting pelted with hail or a storm or an animal going through, like everything around us is always being tested, and I think from that we grow from it. And I think that's just kind of my little 2 cents on the thought of the day.
Yeah, so just keep in mind,
keep growing.
Grow. Even if you can't grow anymore, just
don't be a
try. Weed. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so yeah, we pretty much have made some changes. We're gonna start filming more in here, recording more in here, and we still have other little ideas that we're working on to kind of take, I guess, the like podcast to a more I guess we take it with us wherever we go. So we have those like portable mics now that we're gonna start trying to use and filming more outside, just to be able to like have that real connection from like actual events and living life, to be able to talk about those things, because I think sometimes we get lost in just living life that it's just always hard to record on the go. But there's times where we have really great conversations, or we feel as though that there's something that we want to say and really express, but it's such a in the moment thing that we lose sight of that. So I think I really want to be able to take more of that impact and just apply it.
Well, it's like you and I have a lot of conversations throughout the day and whatever, and it's kind of like we always get in these moments where we start talking and it's like, oh, we should have recorded that, and I think kind of having the different mechanisms to record and put content out there to speak about things, because the podcast is definitely about having an open mind to speak about whatever, and a lot of that is reflected on what did you go through in your day, like good things, bad things, ugly things, happy thoughts, whatever. And I think finding that mechanism, having different avenues for us, I think is definitely going to help us, and also help you guys listen more. And
what if we had like a situation where we were recorded at all times throughout the day, and just kind of as like a social experiment about how people who just, I guess, like live together, or just our day-to-day like thoughts that we think out loud, all of it would be recorded, and we're just kind of like,
I have a few thoughts right now about that. One, scary. More just for the fact of my brain's crazy and just me just being recorded the entire time, and then just kind of wondering, like, I don't know.
I think it'd be kind of cool, even
It
if
would be.
no one ever heard it.
Maybe just from a self-reflection type standpoint.
That's what I'm saying. Isn't that like a scary? It's like very scary to like actually observe yourself, hear yourself. I mean, I think everyone collectively feels cringe when they hear their own voice back, but I think it's like another level of cringe if you're also like visualizing yourself and just like the weird tendencies and like, I don't know, just the weird habits that people may have, and it just being able to look back at that, I think can be pretty eye-opening. And whether you grant yourself a new insecurity or you actually just like work on something that you just thought was a bad habit that you were just like, why do I do that? That's stupid. Or not stupid, but just I can improve upon it or whatever.
Well, I think that's one thing that, as you go through public speaking courses, like through high school or college or wherever you might have taken them, or even like those professional clubs like Toastmasters or whatever, that teaches you how to publicly speak, it's kind of the best way to learn from yourself and become a better, stronger public speaker is to listen to yourself, because it's kind of you're understanding where your shortcomings are, and that actually goes back to self-reflection, like we were talked about many times on the podcast. So I think it's good to self-reflect.
Do you know what sometimes I feel like we are? Like just like a random like cable channel that's like on like a random number station. And
like public access.
Yeah. And you just like flicker through it and you just see like two people like at this just really, I don't know, just like looks like a library or something, and they just got access to a camera and they're just hoping someone's listening, and they have several viewers, some just being friends and family, and you know that they mean well, but you just can't have like the attention span to like actually pay attention to what they're saying. That's kind of how I feel.
So we're public access.
Yeah, but I like that though. There's something about that I love. There's something very like pure about it, because it's just like you're doing something that I think is very like human. You just want to be able to use this technology because you're curious about it, to be able to like use it and connect with people. Just because I think maybe in your own personal life and the way you interact with other people is not enough of, I guess, a fix. You kind of want to connect with people and
I think that
share other ideas and thoughts, perspectives, and be able to connect. I don't know. I think just connecting is like the most powerful, like feeling, I guess, in the world, is when you are able to connect with people on a mass level. And I think that's why, artists become big, and they always describe these like surreal experiences, because you get to connect with so many people, and that influence is and that power of that influence is such a beautiful thing when used correctly. And I think there's a lot of good that could be done with things like that. But when you are willing to kind of go on the roots of that cable channel or public access, yeah, you're kind of doing the seeds and the planting of that, and it's beautiful to see it grow. And always remember, like, wow, like I had that little startup, and it's funny, and that's what I feel like this is, and that's what I felt like the
it's progression.
Yeah, the other room was. It was, being able to look at someone who kind of, I don't know, always talked about being able to be on a camera and like talk and chat and laugh and connect with people, but always just felt avoidant of it. The idea of it was always just silly, because you sometimes look back and you're like, okay, but that was really personal.
So a couple questions for you here. So you said that you sometimes you like to be in front of the camera because you want to get your voice out and you want to be heard. So
I want to connect with people, but this is the way to do it.
So why do you feel that urge to connect?
Just because I think that, unfortunately, we sometimes hold ourselves prisoner to our surroundings, and thinking that that's the only type of, I guess, connection that we can have is just people that are easily accessible to us in our day-to-day lives. And sometimes that can feel really trapping, and you are who you're surrounding yourself with. And, sometimes if you're not around like-minded people, or people even better than you, how do you necessarily improve? And I felt, that's been what's been holding me back for several years, is that I don't necessarily feel like I connect with very like-minded people, or people that offer different perspectives that I can learn from. So it keeps me stagnant, or it keeps me in a place where my thoughts almost are being repressed, because I'm constantly having to, I guess, adjust where my head is at whenever I'm around different people. And that becomes exhausting. That's why my social battery is exhausting, or always exhausted, because you're trying to keep up a conversation that you really don't want to have. Or, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think also like, just like a lot of people that we surround ourselves with, I'm not saying this is true by any means, is that, but you always run into groups of people that don't see eye to eye to you.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that your thoughts or their thoughts or whoever's seen or not, excuse me, whoever's not seeing eye to eye is invalid or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that you don't understand them, whatever direction it's going. And I think, by able to, host a podcast and like talk about life and talk about current events and things like that, you're able to get those thoughts out, because I'm sure there's someone else out there in that world that believes the same thing that we're thinking.
For sure.
And I think this is just like, just a kind of is a way for us to connect, like you said, and then also is a way for us to, get our own thoughts out on when we're oftentimes felt like we're not necessarily listened to. I think is a possibly.
Yeah, I think
just
it's
sharing.
hard. It's hard. Yeah, I was gonna say, it's just really quick. It's hard for anyone to not feel like, who may be listening, or just any friends or extended family or whatever it is. It's never about me feeling as though I don't have an ear or someone who I can have a conversation with if I need to go to them. I don't think that's necessarily what it is.
That.
It's more just, I want to be able to have casual conversations with people that also happen to be conversations that have some substance to it, where it doesn't always feel like you're just talking about the weather, or you're just talking about things to talk about things. You want to actually like share ideas and bounce off those ideas and feel inspired in some way. And you don't always have to have that in every single conversation you have or whatever, but I would like a little more stimulation is what I'm saying. So I think connecting and engaging with people from all over the world is a great way to improve my own way of thinking, to learn, have an open perspective, so I don't ever get stuck in my ways. Growing old and aging and getting stuck in your ways is probably one of the most scary things, because then you have the entire, well, depending on if you're big or not, if you're like exposed or not, if you're a public figure or not, but you have pretty much people looking at you never growing or never changing, and there's actual like documentation of that. That's a pretty frightening thing to be able to watch back and say, wow, I have literally not grown. I've been a very closed-minded person on so many different things. And yeah, I think I'm just really open-minded about a lot. And yeah, so.
Open-minded. Yeah, it goes back to that growth piece, I think. You said that there, where, you're just continuing to grow. And I think having a podcast has actually helped me just to, one, kind of think through my own thoughts. And it gives me an outlet to kind of, as a overthinker, to, speak, where, I don't necessarily have to worry about the person on the other side. I'm not saying I don't care, because I do care, but it's not like that nervous tick when someone's like directly in front of you as you're speaking about, because sometimes we get personal, where we're getting into issues that, affect either one of us, on our day-to-day life or even in our past history, and that is sometimes hard speaking to someone, I don't really know where we're going, but, we're all over the place about, why the podcast and why we kind of feel like it's
it stalls. It stalls, and I think it stalls because there's a lot of directional kind of developments where we're just kind of like saying, oh, okay, wait, hold on, this could work. This probably won't work. And I think there's a lot of that discussion
we've had, like,
happening.
3 studio revamps already, possibly, maybe 4, so like there's a lot of stall pieces in there. Life just also gets in the way,
there's like a literal active genocide going on, so I think it's kind of horrible, fucking with everybody's mental state. I think with the economy going to shit, with inflation and just housing and healthcare and the immigration issue, and there's just so many things going on. It makes me feel almost as this is like a parody at this point of just being able to like chat about anything, because if we can connect and listen to each other or just talk, like that almost seems like the rarer occurrence these days than that of just mass psychosis and people, I guess, living in a more selfish, but understandably so in a way of life, just because of the way COVID was and the mass psychosis created through that, and just how bad inflation's been. I think so many more people are just afraid, and through that fear, I think, is when people are the most malleable. And having to be an empath and still like weave your way through life, or navigating your way through life, just being able to still be an empath and trying to not, I guess, go, falter on your morals or values is challenging. And I think I'm just a lot more sensitive to people who actually are willing to admit, like, I'm struggling and I don't know how to, I guess, process this to be a better person, or to just not become a more closed off person or a selfish person. Like, I almost feel like the system is raising people to feel that way, and it's sad. But there's, on the contrary, a lot of, beauty in the world. There's a lot of like an awakening almost in people, young people especially, about just wanting an end to systems that affect people, all throughout the world, because they can see how things are intertwined and connected. And that puzzling together is something that I believe every generation is part of. And it's frustrating when you see older generations, maybe your own generation or the generation before you, and you're seeing just a stagnancy, and you're like, come on, dude, like, you were a young soul once. You had that innocence that allowed you to, like, cross so many different realities where you're...
It's almost like people give up.
Yeah.
Or it comes to the point where
they feel they don't give up because I think they just want to give up. I think it's just there's a level of exhaustion because we're constantly being tried by our systems. And
then I think people oftentimes don't speak up or doesn't want to have the conversation because they're afraid of the outlash or the other response is going to be. And I think that's the world that, honestly, like, the media and current politics have created, is things of so decisive and so volatile, where it's just so toxic. Like, no one wants to weigh an opinion on anything, just because they're afraid of that they're going to have misinformation fed to them
in a way like we've never seen before. But we're also looking at one of the most insane cases that we've ever seen in modern history, which is that we're literally, being censored on just criticizing a foreign government. As an American, as a taxpayer, someone, who's very proud to be an American, very proud to, honor what it means to be one, is very, unfortunate when you're trying to connect with other Americans, other people online, or whether it's friends, family, whatever it is. You want to be able to feel as though, like, despite where your political stance is, that there's an issue that can go on in the world that still can bring people together, and you understand that there's morals that are still woven in through our society, no matter what religion or non-religion you have, or whatever the hell, But there should be certain issues that we can still all unify on, and the fact that there's still issues like a genocide that's going on right now that we're politicizing while all this is happening and all these conversations are being had, like, it's still ongoing. And I think that's the ultimate testament to people's character and what side of history they're choosing to be on, because we already know the leaders are the ones that are corrupt, bought out, lost their ways or whatever it is. So now we as the people should see that ultimately you can be die hard for a government, but if you're, if they're the 1% and, you're not part of the 1%, they ultimately don't have your best interest at heart. And I'm not saying this is for all governments or all people that enter, our government or governments around the world, but more often than not, we see that the stereotype of corrupt, lying politicians is true for a reason, and we've never seen it more blatantly than we do now. And I think that's why I think people should be able to have more open dialogue about it without the cancel culture or the repercussions they fear are going to be had on them in their employment, or if they're going to be doxxed or whatever.
Yeah, I think a lot of time, a lot of people in the world has lost their line of humanity. Like you mentioned, as in, it doesn't matter what religion you believed in. There's a right choice and a wrong choice in some places. Like the humane choice, of what's going on. Like, take politics out of Gaza. Like, the humane choice is stop killing people. But we've lost that. We lost that in a lot of areas of life. In politics,
and not just in Gaza too. Just like we have the problem in Yemen, we have in Congo, we have Sudan. There's
even on the more closer to
what's
home,
happened to the Armenians,
closer to home, like with the southern border and things like that. Just like the lives that are, that people are willing just to squash, because they're status of some sort, But at the same time, it's like, okay, you need to come to the United States properly. They're both sides. Like,
there's a malignant way of thinking, like how people view, like, oh, it'll never happen to me. I'll never be the one who texts and drives and dies in a car accident or kills someone or drunk driving or whatever. People tend to always believe, since they're, that the whole joke that, like, oh, there's main character syndrome and you're just an NPC, whatever. Well, like that main character syndrome is great in all if you want to love yourself through that process and stuff, but also bring yourself back down to reality because yes, things could happen to you and they will happen to you if you don't understand that everything that goes on in the world, just because we turn our blinders on does not mean that it's not happening and it's not in some way, shape, or form going to affect you. You're still a global citizen. And as a global citizen, you still have to do your part to be educated on things and understand if you want to see change, if you're okay with the repercussions and the outcomes of what's going to come your way and how your life's going to be adapted by these new changes and you don't like it and you just say I'm just going to turn my blinders off, like understand that that's how a lot of people think and that's why no changes ever happen. And you actually unfortunately allow that toxic mentality to like impact the generation that's coming after you, whether it's your own family, friends, or whatever. And I don't know, I just feel like as a person of this planet, like we should all just be working our best to, yes, hash out problems, compromise, offer different perspectives, but ultimately, like, some things can't just be turned off to, oh, it's a political thing. And yeah, I think there just needs to be a little bit more accountability from each one of us to do our part morally, spiritually, non-spiritually, just a person who wants to just live the remainder of their life, even if they think there's nothing after it, just with some peace. Like,
yeah, because there's always going to possibly be the world after our passing. So it's like in my mind, it's like I would like to take care of it in multiple different ways. So generations behind me can live a very healthy, prosperous life, I guess. And that's
And I think that's what it is. That's just all I care about because I grew up with a large family, dude. Like I
just think of our nieces and nephews. It's kind of like, do we really want to leave the world shitty to them when we kind of pass on? Or even if you have children or anything else like that, it's like you can't be protective and like hide and just not say anything, because the world's not going to get any better if you're silent.
No, no. I think if
it doesn't mean that you have to go out and fight either. But it's like use the tools that everyone has.
No, actually, there is definitely going to be a draft. I mean, there's a bill that's being passed right now where it's like, I believe it's being passed right now. I mean, I've been seeing this headline trend, which is also like a weary thing to, keep in mind is too, just because everything is. Remember, like the Joro spiders, and everyone was being afraid about them. Like, to be honest, they're very harmless spiders, and they don't fly. The babies fly just like any other spider when they're gliding through the air to cross the trees. But anyway. Because we had killer bees, we had the whatever.
Mm-hmm. The
hornets. Yeah, I think I was mouthing it, but I wasn't sure.
Something hornet.
But anyway, so these headlines I've been seeing, I haven't really like read too much into it, but it was talking about how like there's a draft, requirement from the ages of 18 to 26, and this is something that's going to be eventually passed. And I think that's just ultimately, coming down to most people just don't really want to join the military because they're not really seeing that a sustainable way of life is serving in the military. I think that, yes, obviously it's smart to be able to want to defend your country and have the ability to protect yourself through the Second Amendment and great, whatever. But at the same time, it's a little bit different if you're, dedicating your life specifically to fight wars that don't benefit the American people and also just only continue the repercussions of war that only ever creates more war. And it's sometimes people, I think that, now we're seeing that it's just not an investment worth making. If that's the ultimate goal of the government that's supposed to be protecting you and giving you a good life, why would you want to dedicate yourself to a country and a government who's not doing anything to serve you, instead another country, like foreign countries? I don't get it.
A part of that bill, it's always been that 18 to 26, you're supposed to register for.
But now it's like it's going to be mandatory to be like.
I think it's always has been, but it was more of they're automatically making you do it. There's been rules like that that's come and gone over history. Like this,
regardless, and I think regardless,
it's still scary.
It's not that it's just scary. It's not, to me. It's not, the fear thing doesn't really. I think I'm as I'm getting older, like I'm learning a lot of systems that have, yes, like you said, come and gone, and have always, we've always seen the pendulum swing of humanity's, like, prosperity, right? Where we do good and then we do bad. We do really good and then we do really, really fucking bad. And I think we're at that place now where everyone who's seemed progressive and seemed like we were moving forward with these healthier mentalities in life, I think we're all being challenged now. Like, okay, remember these things that we learned about in history? If they were happening then, like, what would you do? Like, well, you're doing it now. And, I'm sure that they're going to document these parts of history and use it as a test study to say like where humans were at through propaganda and through social media and through the mass psychosis of dying media, mainstream media, and seeing the rebirth of AI through like, I guess, deep fakes, because I know AI has been around for a while now, but now we're seeing it kind of more accessible to the average person. And that comes with its own complications as well, because now how do you validate things? How does the average person validate fake news, even though systems can be used to detect it? Like, how does the average person know? And now you have the game of telephone on like a global scale, and
I think
it's hard. That's why you just got to be a person who just doesn't completely shut down. Like, it's okay to take breaks. It's okay to turn on the blinders. It's okay to like decompress, but like ultimately, like, just try to live outside of the bubble, because living in a bubble, despite people believing ignorance is bliss, it's really not when you're seeing everything behind you burning and it's only getting closer.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
I think it's more kind of like,
this joint like that I need to light right now, because
I think a lot of it is that you have to ask yourself every day that you get up, are you proud of what you've done, or proud of what you've contributed to the world?
Sometimes I'm just proud to like still be kicking it, because honestly, there's a lot of times where I've been sitting there like, oh, if this ever happened, I'd be like, I'd be done. And then it happens and I'm like, okay, clearly I'm still here. So
I think that shows the resilience of us, that we can go through
so if you're still going to live, why not live in a life that you could still technically make better for yourself? That's I think like a good like way to tie my own thought in just there. Because it's like, obviously if I'm still kicking it, it means that there's a life that I still want to live. And if I'm going to live it, I might as well not make it bad and make it whatever the hell I can.
And it goes back to like, leave
go
the
out
place
to laugh,
better than the way you found it. Like how our like parents have always said that, or, your teachers or whoever says, clean up, leave it better the way that you found it. It's just, I think that's the world that, at least for myself, is, that I want to leave this world whenever that day is that hopefully that I've made an impact where it's slightly a little bit better. I know I'm not probably going to make world impact. Who knows? Maybe I can.
You will, one episode at a time on One Hit High Points. Tune in whenever the fuck we post, because we still got to figure out a schedule. But
schedule's TBD.
To be determined.
Thank you for that.
You want to hit this?
Yeah, I do. Thanks.
Honestly, I think that one's like mystery weed, because I don't know which jar I grabbed. No, actually, I think I know what this one is. Anyway, so, yes, we will be trying to focus more on a, I guess, like consistent schedule. I just don't want to designate a day if I'm not 100% sure what that day is going to be. So I'm not going to say that now, but we're going to work on that. And we're also going to work a little bit more in structure. This is something that I've been really interested in wanting to do, because from the very beginning of the podcast, we had outlines of topics and like segments of things. And then we kind of stopped that because we wanted more of a free talking a connection with the listener. But now we're realizing, with us trying to take it a little bit more seriously and just have a little bit more structure to it, it'd be great to actually go back with outlines and concepts like that. And
I think definitely some interest in, for like our live streams or our videos that we're posting also is to, actually share some content, like discuss articles or videos or whatever might come in our path in the future. So that is a possibility.
But I want to know if that's something that people would want, as opposed to like what we do. Like, I think if it's interesting enough that we just free talk and there's a little flicker of information there that you like, and it's part of the charm, then great. If not, and we want to go back to that structure, like, I'm good with both, because to be honest, I can have these live streams of free talking and having fun, or I can also just go and have a little separate setup where I just talk about current events and we discuss that together. And these are just ideas. I mean, it's funny because
if anyone has ideas,
like, just
you can follow us on Instagram. You can send us those lovely messages there, or if you know us, just tell us.
Yeah, all the people that are listening to this from other parts of the world, if you know us or want to know us,
subscribe.
Let us know. Subscribe. I'm just kidding. No. Anyway, so that's pretty much all we have to say, I guess, today. It was just that, Just that.
Well, we wanted to, test out our little new space here, which is the beginning stages, and, test out our technical audio issues, which I think we're doing fairly well. So I don't think there's an issue there right now. And
on that note, welcome back.
And make the world a better place.
Welcome back until the next welcome back. Probably anywhere from tomorrow to
4 weeks from now.
Maybe even
joking.
3 years, who knows? I could fall down these stairs.
Oh no.
I can smoke this joint and my state of being in that moment can be life-changing. Who knows? I may never want to do this again. So, on that note, have a great night and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.